Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our English Learning Podcast, where we help you improve your English through interesting topics, real-life conversations, and practical tips you can use every day. I'm Adam.
And I'm Sophia. We're so excited to have you with us today. If you've ever felt nervous or unsure about starting a conversation in English, don't worry, you're not alone.
Have you ever felt stuck in a conversation, not knowing what to say next? Maybe you're standing next to a colleague at work, or you bump into a neighbor, and there's this awkward silence. You want to say something, but the words just won't come out.
Exactly. We've all been there. That's why today's episode is going to be a game changer. We're giving you the ultimate guide to small talk, 50 powerful conversation starters and responses that actually work in real life.
Whether you're talking to a stranger at a coffee shop, chatting with a work colleague, or catching up with a friend you haven't seen in a while, we'll make sure you always know what to say.
By the end of this episode, you'll feel more confident, natural, and ready to start any conversation in English without that awkward silence.
So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's jump right in. Chapter 1. The Power of First Impressions. You know, Sophia, I think we all underestimate just how powerful those first few seconds of a conversation really are. I mean, think about it. When you meet someone for the first time, within moments, they've already formed an impression of you. It's not just about the words you say, it's the tone of your voice, your smile, your energy. When you start a conversation with warmth and confidence, it immediately puts the other person at ease. They feel safe, they feel welcomed, and that opens the door for a smooth, natural chat. But I get it. Sometimes we overthink it. We ask ourselves, what if I say the wrong thing? What if they don't respond? And that fear makes us freeze up. But here's the truth. A simple, "Hi, how's your day going?" is often all it takes. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present and friendly.
Exactly, Adam. And you know what's interesting? People often worry about what to say, but most of the time, the other person is just as nervous. We're all human. We all appreciate someone making that first move. And here's a secret I've learned. Starting with a compliment is magic. It's like pressing an instant positive button in someone's brain. When you say, "Hey, I love your shoes," or "That's a cool backpack, where did you get it?" You're not just making conversation. You're making someone feel good. And when people feel good, they open up. Pair that with a genuine smile and open body language like not crossing your arms, and you've already won half the battle. It's those small things that create big results. You don't need fancy words. Sometimes the best opener is right in front of you, like noticing the weather or commenting on your surroundings.
You're so right, Sophia, and I love that you mentioned body language, because words can only do so much, right? Imagine someone saying, "Hey, how's it going?" but their arms are crossed, their eyes are looking down, and they sound bored. That's not inviting. But if you say the same thing with a relaxed posture, smiling, making eye contact, it's a completely different experience. It tells the other person, "I'm interested in you. I'm here to connect." That's the energy we want to bring into our small talk. And the best part? You can practice this anywhere, at a bus stop, in an elevator, or while waiting for coffee. I remember this one time, I noticed a guy's backpack. It was this really unique color. I just said, "Hey, that's a great backpack. Where did you get it?" And boom, we were talking about our favorite travel spots within minutes.
I love that story, Adam. And listeners, I want you to picture this. You're walking into a room full of people. Maybe it's a work event, maybe it's a party. You could stand quietly in the corner, feeling awkward. Or you could walk up to someone, smile, and say, "Hi, I don't think we've met yet. I'm Sophia. How's your day going?" Instantly, that awkwardness disappears. You're in control of the moment. And what I've found is, when you lead with confidence, even if you're nervous inside, people respond positively. You become the person they remember. So, start small. Next time you see someone, just say, "Hi, how's your day?" Or, "That's a cool jacket, where did you get it?" These little sentences are like keys. They unlock conversations, opportunities, and sometimes even friendships.
Absolutely. So let's put this into action. Right now, wherever you are, Whether you're listening on your way to work or relaxing at home, let's practice together. Say this out loud. Hi, how's your day going? Go ahead, we'll wait. All right, now try this one. That's a cool jacket, where did you get it? See? You're already getting better. These simple openings are your superpower. Use them often, and soon, starting conversations will feel as natural as saying hello to an old friend.
Chapter 2. Talking about the weather, but making it interesting. You know, Adam, I used to roll my eyes when I heard people start conversations with "nice weather today." It felt so basic, almost like a cliché. But over time, I realized something. It's not really about the weather, it's about finding common ground. The weather is something we all experience together. It's that shared reality, whether it's a sunny day, a rainy afternoon, or even a freezing cold morning. We're all feeling it. And that's what makes it such a perfect conversation starter, because everyone can relate to it. But here's the trick. If you want it to lead to a real, engaging conversation, you need to go beyond just stating the obvious. Instead of saying, "nice weather," add a little bit of you into it, like, "I love this sunshine. It's perfect for a morning walk." Or, "This rain makes me want to stay in and watch movies all day." When you do that, you open the door for the other person to share their experience too. It stops being just about the weather and becomes a story about your life. That's when small talk starts to feel natural, even enjoyable.
That's so true, Sophia. And I think a lot of people miss that. It's not about the weather. It's about using the weather to unlock something more personal. I remember this one time I was waiting for a bus, and it was one of those brutally hot days. You know, the kind where the sun feels like it's melting your skin. Everyone was miserable. I turned to the guy next to me and said, "Wow, this heat is no joke. I feel like I'm in the desert. How are you surviving it?" He laughed, and we ended up chatting about his trip to Arizona. Turns out he'd just come back from a hiking adventure, and he gave me some amazing travel tips. That's the power of small talk. It started with the weather, but it led to something way more interesting: travel, adventures, and shared experiences. The weather was just the key that opened the door. So, my advice is, don't stop at nice day. Go deeper. Attach it to your life. This cool breeze reminds me of my trip to the mountains. Or, this drizzle is making me crave hot chocolate. Do you like cozy days like this? That's what makes you memorable.
Exactly, Adam. And listeners, I want you to really take this in. When you talk about the weather, you're not just filling silence. You're giving the other person an opportunity to connect with you. You're inviting them to say, "Oh, I love hot chocolate too." Or, "I actually hate the cold. I'm more of a beach person." And suddenly, you're not talking about the weather. You're talking about your favorite drinks, or your dream vacations, or your love for hiking. That's how you move from small talk to real talk. And it all starts with adding that personal twist. So, here's a little exercise. Say this out loud. "It's been so hot lately. How are you staying cool?" Go ahead, try it. Now, let's make it personal. Say, "This sunny weather is perfect. I'm thinking of having a picnic. What about you?" Feel the difference? That's you turning small talk into something meaningful.
That's it, Sophia. And listeners, I challenge you. Today, when you're out and about, don't just say, "nice day." Try adding a bit of you. Talk about what the weather makes you feel, or what it reminds you of. Say, "This breeze is making me want to go hiking," or "This heat makes me wish I was at the beach." Watch how people respond when you open up like that. You'll be surprised at how quickly small talk can turn into real conversations. Remember, weather is just the starting line. You decide where the conversation goes from there. Chapter 3. Small talk at work. Sounding professional, yet friendly. You know, Sophia, I think one of the trickiest places to get small talk right is at work. It's like there's this invisible line. You want to be friendly and approachable, but you don't want to come across as nosy or unprofessional. And that makes a lot of people nervous. They either avoid small talk altogether, which can make them seem cold or distant, or they overdo it, asking too many personal questions, and that can feel awkward too. But here's what I've learned. The key is to keep it light and positive. You don't need to know your colleague's life story. Sometimes all it takes is a simple, "Morning, how was your weekend?" or "Busy day today?" These are safe, friendly questions. They open the door for conversation, but they're not intrusive. And most importantly, they show you care. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to work in silence all day. We all appreciate a bit of human connection, even if it's just for a few seconds.
Absolutely, Adam. And you know what's funny? I used to be that person who avoided small talk at work. I thought, I'm here to do my job, not to make friends. But over time, I realized something. It's not just about being friendly. Small talk actually makes work easier. When you build those little daily connections, it creates a sense of trust. People are more willing to help you out, share ideas, or cover for you when you need it. It all starts with small moments. I remember one time I was working on a tight deadline, and a colleague I didn't know very well offered to help. Later he told me it was because I always greeted him in the morning with a smile and asked how his day was going. That's when it clicked. Small talk isn't small. It's the foundation of good work relationships. So I always start light. Hey, how's your day looking? Or, got any fun plans this weekend? And it's amazing how quickly people open up when you show a little interest.
That's such a good point, Sophia. I think people underestimate how much those small, daily conversations can impact their work life. It's not about becoming best friends with everyone, but when you show you're approachable, you create a positive environment. And that can lead to better teamwork, more support, and honestly, a happier workday. I've noticed that when I start my day by chatting with a few colleagues, just a quick, "Morning, how's it going?" it shifts my whole mindset. Work feels less like a grind and more like a team effort. And here's a tip for our listeners. If you're not sure what to say, start with a neutral topic like the day ahead. How's your schedule looking today? Or busy morning? These are questions everyone can answer, and they naturally lead to other topics, like upcoming projects, weekend plans, or even a shared joke about how much coffee you both need.
Exactly, Adam. And listeners, I want you to try this right now. Imagine you're walking into work. You see a colleague by the coffee machine. What do you say? Try this out loud. "Morning. How's your day going?" Go on. Say it with a smile. Now, try this one. "Got any exciting plans after work?" See how natural that feels? The goal is to make these phrases part of your daily routine. Don't overthink it. Keep it simple, keep it light. And remember, it's not about having a perfect conversation. It's about showing you care and making your workplace a little friendlier, one small chat at a time. Chapter 4. Talking to Strangers, Mastering Everyday Situations. You know, Adam, I think one of the scariest things for many English learners is talking to strangers in public. It's like this voice inside says, "What if I say something wrong? What if they don't understand me?" And suddenly you're overthinking everything. But here's the truth. Those quick, casual conversations with strangers are actually the easiest and most low-pressure way to practice your English. Why? Because they're short. You're not trying to build a friendship. You're just exchanging a few friendly words. And the best part? Strangers don't expect perfection. They just appreciate kindness. I remember this time I was at a cafe and the line was long. I turned to the person behind me and said, "Hey, do you know if the line moves quickly here?" That's it. A simple question. We ended up chatting about our favorite coffee spots in the city. That moment reminded me, small talk with strangers is not about impressing them. It's about showing you're human. You're sharing a moment together. And that's powerful.
Exactly, Sophia. And I love what you said about not trying to impress people. I think that's where a lot of learners get stuck. They think every sentence has to be perfect, every word needs to be right. But that's not how real conversations work. When you're in line at a store or sitting at a coffee shop, it's not a grammar exam, it's just life. People are focused on their own day. So when you smile and say, Hey, have you tried their cappuccino? I heard it's amazing. They're not analyzing your English. They're thinking, oh, this person is friendly. That's it. I've had some of my best small talk moments in places like airports, cafes, and even waiting rooms. Once, I was at the dentist, and the guy next to me looked as nervous as I felt. I said, I guess neither of us is excited to be here, right? He laughed, and we talked about how we both hated dentists. That small human connection made my day easier. Small talk isn't small. It's a tool to feel less alone.
That's such a great example, Adam. And listeners, I want you to really hear this. It's not about what you say. It's about how you say it. Confidence is key. Even if your English isn't perfect, when you speak with warmth and curiosity, people respond to your energy. Here's a little tip. Start with observation. Look around. What's happening? Is the cafe crowded? Does the coffee smell good? Are people enjoying their food? Use what you see. You can say, wow, this place is busy today, or that coffee smells amazing, doesn't it? It's natural, it's real, and it works. Once I just said, this latte is so good to the person sitting next to me. They smiled and said, oh, I was thinking of ordering that. And boom, we were chatting. It's that easy. Speak up, you'll be amazed at how kind people are.
Yes, Sophia. And listeners, let's practice together. I want you to say this out loud right now, wherever you are. Excuse me, do you know if this seat is taken? Go on, try it. Good. Now, let's try another. Hey, have you tried their coffee before? Say it. Feels natural, right? That's the goal. These little phrases are your tools. Use them when you're out. Start small, a smile, a question, a simple comment. You'll be surprised. A quick chat in a cafe might lead to a new friend or just brighten someone's day. Either way, you win.
Chapter 5. Handling awkward silence. Keeping the flow. You know, Adam, I think one of the biggest fears people have when it comes to small talk is that terrifying moment when the conversation just stops. You know what I mean? That awkward silence where both people are smiling nervously, looking at their phones, or glancing around the room, hoping someone will rescue them. It's like your brain freezes, and suddenly you can't think of anything to say. And that's when panic kicks in. But here's what I've learned. Awkward silence is normal. It happens to everyone, even native speakers. The difference is, confident people know how to handle it. They don't run from the silence. They work through it. And the best way to do that? Always have a few go-to questions or comments ready in your back pocket. Think of it like having backup fuel when your car is running low. These are simple, easy phrases like, so what brought you here today? Or, have you been coming here long? These questions are lifesavers. They work at coffee shops, networking events, or even when you bump into a neighbor. They help you restart the flow without making it weird.
You're so right, Sophia. And I think it's important to say, awkward silences aren't a sign that you're bad at English or that the other person isn't interested. Sometimes people are just tired, or they're thinking about something else. It's not personal. But when you know how to fill those gaps, you can keep any conversation going. I actually had this experience just the other week. I was talking to someone at a birthday party, and we started with the usual, hey, how do you know the host? And it was going well, until suddenly we both kind of ran out of things to say. We stood there, holding our drinks, smiling, but inside I was thinking, oh no, what now? But then I remembered, a shared experience is always a great rescue. I said, by the way, did you try that chocolate cake? It's amazing. And boom, the conversation picked up again. We started talking about our favorite desserts, then baking shows, and before I knew it, we were laughing. That one little comment saved the whole interaction.
Exactly, Adam. Shared experiences are gold. If you're at an event, talk about the music, the food, or the location. If you're in a waiting room, mention how busy it is or how long the wait is. It's easy, and it works. And here's another tip for our listeners. When you feel that silence creeping in, sometimes it helps to change the subject completely. You can say, by the way, and introduce something totally new. Like, by the way, did you see that news story about? Or, by the way, have you watched any good shows lately? That phrase, by the way, is like a bridge. It smoothly moves the conversation from silence to a new topic. And it's so natural. We all do it, right? We're talking about coffee, then suddenly we're talking about weekend plans, then somehow we're discussing pets. That's the beauty of small talk. It doesn't have to follow a straight line.
That's such a good point, Sophia. And listeners, we want you to practice this right now. Imagine you're talking to someone, and suddenly there's a pause. What do? Try this out loud. By the way, did you catch the news about? Go ahead, say it. Good. Now another one. By the way, have you been to this place before? These phrases are your safety net. Keep them ready. Whenever you feel that silence coming, you can pull them out and keep the flow going. And here's a bonus. Sometimes, you can even acknowledge the silence with a bit of humor. I've said things like, looks like we hit that awkward silence moment, and people laugh because they get it. It shows you're confident and relaxed.
Yes, Adam. Humor is such a great tool. So listeners, remember, awkward silence isn't the end of the world. It's just a pause. And now you know exactly how to fill it. Your challenge today? Next time you're talking to someone and there's a quiet moment, don't panic. Instead, say, by the way, and see where the conversation takes you. You've got this. Chapter 6. Small Talk with Neighbours. Building Friendly Connections. You know, Adam, when I was younger, I never really thought about talking to my neighbours. I would just pass by with a quick smile or a nod, maybe a good morning, and that was it. But as I've gotten older, I've realised something. Neighbours are such an important part of our everyday lives. They're the people you see almost every day, the ones who can lend you sugar when you run out, or help you out when you're in a pinch. And when you build those small, friendly connections, your neighbourhood starts to feel more like a community. But I get it. Starting that first conversation can feel awkward. You might think, I've lived here for 2 years and I still don't know their name. Is it too late to start? But the truth is, it's never too late. A simple, hey, haven't seen you in a while, or your garden looks amazing is all it takes. These openers are warm, easy, and they don't feel intrusive. They show that you've noticed something positive about the person, and people love that. Everyone wants to feel seen and appreciated.
That's so true, Sophia. And you know what I've found? Once you break that initial barrier, talking to your neighbors becomes so easy. There's this older gentleman who lives 2 doors down from me, and for months, we just exchanged quick hellos. But one day, I noticed he was trimming his roses, and they looked incredible. So I stopped and said, "Hey, your roses are beautiful. What's your secret?" His whole face lit up. He started telling me about his gardening tips, and now, every time I see him, we chat. About plants, about the weather, or sometimes just about our day. That small talk turned into something bigger. It created trust. And now, if I need help with something, I know I can knock on his door. That's what small talk does. It plants the seed for real connections. And the best part? It doesn't have to be complicated. Comment on their flowers, their dog, or even their new car. Hey, that's a nice car. How's it driving? Or, your dog's adorable. What's his name? These simple lines open the door to something bigger.
Exactly, Adam. And listeners, I want you to imagine this. You're walking past your neighbour's house, and you see them watering their plants. You could just walk by, or you could pause and say, "Hey, I love your plants. How do you keep them so healthy?" That one sentence could be the start of a friendship. It shows you're friendly, and it gives them something positive to talk about. And here's a little secret. Most people are just waiting for someone to start the conversation. They want to talk, but they're just as shy as you are. So why not be the one who takes that first step? And don't worry about being perfect. It's not about perfect English. It's about showing kindness. Even if you just say, "Hey, nice flowers," with a smile, you've already won.
Absolutely, Sophia. And listeners, Let's practice this together. Say this out loud right now. Hey, I love your plants. How do you keep them so healthy? Go on, try it. Sounds good, right? Now, picture yourself actually saying it to your neighbor. You're watering your plants, they're outside, and you smile and say it. That's it. You've made a connection. And here's a challenge. This week, pick one neighbor you've never spoken to and say something. Anything. Hey, how's it going? Or, your garden looks great. You might be surprised at how quickly those small moments can turn into something bigger. That's how you turn neighbors into friends.
I love that, Adam. So, listeners, remember, neighbours aren't just people who live near you. They can be allies, friends, and part of your support system. And it all starts with one small, friendly conversation. You've got this. Chapter 7. Small talk while travelling, connecting with people. Worldwide. You know, Adam, one of the best things about travelling is meeting new people. But, I'll be honest, when I first started travelling alone, I was nervous. I wanted to talk to other travellers or locals, but I didn't know how to start. I worried, what if I say the wrong thing? What if they don't understand me? But here's what I realised. When you're travelling, everyone is a bit out of their comfort zone. Whether it's at an airport, a hostel, or even a tourist spot, people are often open to chatting because they're exploring just like you. And the easiest way to start? Ask questions. Curiosity is your best friend when you're travelling. Try something simple like, where are you from? Or, is this your first time here? These are universal questions. They work in any country, any language level. And once you ask, people usually love to share their stories. They'll tell you about their hometown, their travels, or even their favourite places to eat nearby. Suddenly, you're not just making small talk, you're making memories.
That's so true, Sophia. And I think travel small talk is special because it often leads to real connections. You're in a new place, away from your normal life, and so is the other person. That shared experience creates a natural bond. I remember I was in Thailand a few years ago, sitting alone at a beach cafe. There was another traveler sitting nearby, also alone. We were both just enjoying the view, but there was this silence. Finally, I turned and said, "Hi, are you visiting from somewhere?" She smiled and said, "Yeah, I'm from Germany. You?" That small question turned into a 3-hour conversation. We ended up exploring the island together the next day. And here's the thing. When you travel, people expect small talk. They're often hoping someone will start a conversation. So don't be afraid. Start with curiosity. Are you traveling alone? Or have you been here long? These questions show you're interested, and they open the door to real stories.
Exactly, Adam. And listeners, here's a little tip. Share your experience too. After you ask, where are you from? And they answer, follow up with something personal. Say, oh, I'm from India, but this is my first time in Europe. It's amazing so far. This makes the conversation balanced. It's not just questions, it's a two-way exchange. People love to hear your story as much as you want to hear theirs. Once I was in Italy and I asked someone, is this your first time in Rome? He said yes, and I told him about my favourite pasta place nearby. He actually went there and later thanked me for the tip. That small talk turned into a great connection. So remember, travelling is not just about seeing places. It's about meeting people. And all it takes is a simple question like, are you from around here to get started?
Absolutely, Sophia. And listeners, let's practice together. Say this out loud. Are you from around here? Good. Now, try this. Is this your first time visiting? See? Simple, right? When you're traveling, these little questions can lead to big experiences. You might meet someone who becomes a friend for life, or you might just get a great recommendation for a hidden cafe. Either way, you win. So next time you're traveling, whether it's in your country or abroad, don't just look at your phone. Look up, smile, and ask, where are you from? You'll be amazed at what happens next. Chapter 8. Talking about hobbies and interests. 5 minutes. You know, Sophia, if there's one topic that can turn small talk into a real, meaningful conversation, it's hobbies and interests. Because let's be honest, when you ask someone about what they like to do, you're asking about what makes them happy, and people love talking about what excites them. But I get it. Sometimes it can feel a little awkward to bring it up, especially if you've just met someone. You might wonder, is it too personal? What if we have nothing in common? But actually, hobbies are one of the safest topics you can choose. It's not about work, it's not too personal, and it's something that gives the other person a chance to light up and share their passion. You can start really light, something like, what do you like to do for fun? Or, do you have any hobbies? And if you're feeling a bit more casual, you can say, so, what do you do when you're not working? These questions sound simple, but they work. They show that you're interested in them as a person, not just what they do for work, but what makes their life enjoyable.
Exactly, Adam. And I think what makes hobbies such a great topic is that they can lead anywhere. You might start talking about music, and suddenly you're discussing concerts you both want to see, or you ask about sports and now you're planning to go hiking together. It opens up a door. I remember this one time I was at a friend's barbecue, and I didn't know many people. I was standing next to this guy, and instead of asking the usual, "What do you do for work?" I said, "Hey, what do you do for fun?" And his face just lit up. He started telling me about his photography hobby, how he loves capturing sunsets. We ended up talking for over an hour about travel, nature, and even cameras. That's the magic of hobbies. They connect you on a deeper level. And the best part? You don't need to be an expert in what they like. You just need to be interested. If someone says, "Oh, I love gardening," you don't have to know anything about plants. You can just say, "That's so cool. What's your favorite thing to grow?" The key is to stay curious.
That's such a great point, Sophia. And listeners, I really want you to hear that. You don't need to have the same hobbies to have a great conversation. It's your curiosity that matters. Once, I met someone who was into rock climbing. Now, I know nothing about climbing, but I just said, "That sounds amazing. How did you get started?" And he started sharing his journey, his first climb, his favorite places, even the fear he overcame. I was fascinated, not because I cared about climbing, but because I cared about his story. That's what makes small talk special. It's not about having the same interests. It's about showing that you value someone else's. And who knows? You might even discover a new hobby for yourself. I actually tried climbing later because of that conversation. So the next time you're stuck, just ask, what do you enjoy doing in your free time? You'll be surprised how quickly people open up.
Absolutely, Adam. And listeners, let's practice together. Right now, say this out loud. What do you enjoy doing in your free time? Great. Now try this. Any hobbies you enjoy? Feels good, right? These phrases are your keys to deeper conversations. You can use them with colleagues, neighbors, or even strangers. And here's a little challenge. This week, ask someone about their hobbies. Maybe a friend, maybe someone new. When you see their eyes light up, you'll know. You've made a real connection. That's the power of small talk when it's done right.
Perfectly said, Sophia. So, listeners, next time you're having a chat and you feel like it's getting a bit stale, shift the focus. What do you do for fun? It's such a simple question, but it can open the door to amazing conversations. And who knows? You might walk away not just with better English, but with a new friend, or even a new hobby.
Chapter 9. Small talk with friends of friends, blending in easily. You know, Adam, I think one of the most uncomfortable situations is when you're invited to a gathering, maybe a birthday party or a dinner, and you walk in, and you know just one person. Everyone else is a stranger. It's that outsider feeling. You're standing there, holding your drink, looking around, trying to figure out where to start. I've been there, and honestly, it used to make me so nervous. But over time, I realized something. You already have the perfect conversation starter, your mutual friend. That's your golden key. You can simply say, "Hey, you know Sarah too? How do you know her?" It's so simple, but it works every single time. It immediately gives you something in common, and it opens the door for a relaxed, natural conversation. People love talking about how they met their friends. It brings up fun stories, memories, and often leads to other topics.
That's exactly right, Sophia. I used to feel so awkward in those situations too. I'd cling to the one person I knew, following them around like a lost puppy. But then, I started doing what you said, leaning into the mutual connection. It's amazing how well it works. I remember this one time I was at a barbecue and I only knew the host. Everyone else was chatting in their groups. Instead of standing awkwardly, I walked up to someone and said, "Hey, you know Tom too? How do you guys know each other?" He smiled, told me a funny story about meeting Tom at university, and suddenly, we were laughing. That led to us talking about our own school experiences, then weekend plans. Before I knew it, I was part of the group. And the best part? Once you've broken the ice with one person, the rest becomes easier. You start feeling like you belong.
Exactly, Adam. And listeners, I want you to hear this. Everyone feels a little awkward when they're the new person. You are not alone. Even confident people sometimes feel that nervousness inside. But the difference is, they know how to push through it. Mutual friends are your bridge. When you say, "How do you know Sarah?" it's like saying, we're both part of the same circle. We belong here. And here's a little bonus tip. After they answer, share your side too. You can say, "Oh, I actually met Sarah through work. She's great, isn't she?" That balance, asking and sharing, turns the small talk into a real connection. Suddenly, you're not the outsider anymore. You're part of the conversation. You start laughing, sharing stories and that event you were nervous about. It becomes fun. That's the power of small talk. It turns strangers into familiar faces.
That's such a great point, Sophia. And here's something else I've learned. When you meet a friend of a friend, don't try too hard. Sometimes when we're nervous, we overdo it. We talk too much, ask too many questions, and it can feel like an interview. Instead, stay relaxed, smile, ask that simple, "How do you know Sarah?" and let the conversation breathe. People can feel when you're genuine, and once you've started talking, you can naturally move into other topics, hobbies, weekend plans, or even something as simple as, "Have you tried the food? That pasta looks amazing." It's all about getting past that first barrier. Once you do, you'll realize these people aren't strangers, they're potential friends, and it all started with one easy question.
Absolutely, Adam. So listeners, let's practice together right now. Picture a party in your mind. You see someone you don't know. You smile and you say, "How do you know Sarah?" Go ahead. Say it out loud. Perfect. That's your magic phrase. Simple, friendly, and it works every time. Your challenge. Next time you're at a gathering and you feel that outsider feeling, don't freeze up. Use your bridge. Mention the mutual friend and watch how quickly you'll go from feeling out of place to being part of the group. You've got this. Chapter 10. Exiting a conversation. Politely. Ending on a positive note. You know, Adam, a lot of people focus so much on starting a conversation, but they forget that ending it is just as important. I've been in those situations where I wanted to leave, but I didn't know how to do it without being awkward or sounding rude. So I'd either stay too long, making both of us feel uncomfortable, or I'd rush off and worry later that I seemed impolite. But here's what I've learned. Ending a conversation is a skill, and it's actually pretty simple when you get the hang of it. The key is to do it gently and positively. You want to leave the person feeling good about the chat, not wondering if they said something wrong. A friendly closing line like, "It was great talking to you. I'll let you get back to your day," works perfectly. It gives a reason, it's polite, and it leaves the door open for future conversations. It's like saying, "Hey, I enjoyed this, and I'm sure we'll talk again." That's the kind of impression you want to leave.
Exactly, Sophia. And I think a lot of English learners worry that leaving a conversation might offend someone. But here's the truth. People are usually relieved when someone ends a conversation smoothly because they often want to leave too, but don't know how. We're all busy. So when you say something like, "Well, I'll let you go now," it's actually a kindness. You're giving them an easy way out while also making it clear you valued the conversation. I remember this time I was at a networking event and I got stuck talking to someone for way too long. We were both trying to be polite, but it became obvious we had run out of things to say. I wish I had just said, "It's been great chatting. I'll catch you later." That one line would have saved us both from that awkward ending. So, my advice is, don't overthink it. A simple, "Lovely talking to you, see you soon," with a smile is all it takes.
That's so true, Adam. And listeners, here's another little trick. If you need to leave but you do want to speak to the person again in the future, you can add a little forward-looking line. Something like, "Let's catch up again soon," or "Hope to see you around." It's warm and it keeps the connection open. I once had a chat with a woman at a cafe, and we were having a great time, but I had to leave for a meeting. I said, "I'd love to continue this conversation another time. Hope to see you here again." She smiled, and the next week we bumped into each other and we picked up right where we left off. That's the power of ending on a positive note. You're not closing the door, you're keeping it open. You never know where these small connections can lead.
Absolutely, Sophia. And I've even started using this kind of exit line in everyday life, not just in big conversations. Even when I'm chatting with my neighbor, I'll say, "All right, I'll let you get back to your day. See you around." It's friendly, it respects their time, and it leaves them feeling good. And let's be honest, none of us want to feel like we're stuck in a conversation. When you end with a smile and something like, "Catch you later," it takes the pressure off both sides. You're saying, "This was good and it can happen again." That's the perfect way to wrap up small talk.
Exactly, Adam. So, listeners, let's practice together. Say this out loud. "It was lovely talking to you. See you soon." Good. Now, another one. "I'll let you get back to your day. Hope to see you around." Perfect. These lines will become your go-to phrases. And remember, small talk isn't just about starting conversations. It's about managing them from start to finish. When you can begin and end with confidence, that's when you truly master it.
Absolutely, Sophia. So, listeners, your challenge this week, next time you're chatting with someone, practice a positive exit. Don't wait until it gets awkward. When you're ready, smile and say, "Great chatting. See you soon." You'll leave them feeling good, and you'll feel more confident every time you do it. That's the final piece of your small talk toolkit. You've got this. Sophia, as we've talked through these 50 small talk ideas today, it's really reminded me, small talk might seem small, but it leads to big connections in life. A simple, "Hi, how are you?" can open the door to a friendship, a job opportunity, or even just a brighter day. It's these little moments that build the relationships around us.
Absolutely, Adam. And to all our listeners, don't worry about being perfect. What matters is that you try. Small talk is like any other skill. The more you practice, the better you get. Start with just 1 or 2 lines from today's episode. Maybe it's, "How's your day going?" Or, "That coffee smells amazing, doesn't it?" Practice these, and soon you'll notice something incredible. You'll stop feeling awkward, and you'll start feeling confident in every conversation.
And we'd love to hear from you. Which small talk line are you going to try first? Drop your favorite in the comments. We read every single one.
And if you found this episode helpful, share it with a friend who's also learning English. Let's build confident communicators, one small talk at a time.
That's it from us today. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.